Squid Game literally took over the world. It quickly became the most popular and most watched series ever in over 80 countries. Yes, you heard that correctly. It's insane, right? Well, since the release of Squid Game, it has highlighted just how mediocre most other Netflix shows are. Additionally, we also wanted to touch in on some burning questions for season 2 we need answered, along with things that didn't quite add up in the first season. So stay tuned to find out all the inside details surrounding the now widely famous Squid Game. Squid Game is bigger than any show on Netflix ever. Be honest, we know you binged Squid Game, or at least have heard about this insanely huge Netflix hit. Netflix's ability to turn non-English language shows into global hits is nothing new, with shows like Narcos, Money Heist, and Elite all exploding in popularity over the last 5 years. But those triumphs are beginning to pale in comparison to Squid Game, a hugely addictive dystopian drama from South Korea that has become a massive social media phenomenon and the #1 show on the streamer's charts in over 90 countries, including the United States, just 2 weeks after its premiere. Beyond the streamer's own spin, there's plenty of evidence that Squid Game, where a group of financially challenged people wanting to win millions end up in a Hunger Games style survival competition, is becoming a legitimate pop culture phenomenon and gaining a significant global audience. According to Parrot, a very reliable internet source, Squid Game has also broken through with consumers faster than several other recent Netflix hits, jumping to the top of the company's global demand index faster than Money Heist's 3rd season or the launch of UK import Sex Education. Furthermore, because Squid Game isn't based on any pre-existing intellectual property, such as a book or comic series, it didn't come with a built-in fan base or even the name familiarity of something like Lupin. The series' absolute instant excitement is all more astounding. It also helps that, in addition to spending billions on programming, Netflix spends millions more to ensure that shows like Squid Game are accessible to people who don't understand the language. Netflix, more than any other big streamer, provides subtitles in 37 languages and dubs its shows in 34. Subscribers who don't have the patience for subtitles, looking at you fellow Americans, are now much more likely to become engrossed in a series and films that they would have otherwise passed up. Squid Game has everything going for it: an interesting, captivating, unique storyline, great actors, amazing sets, and just perfect production and filming. It's really a treat. Squid Game passes Bridgerton in views. Our biggest series launch ever, Squid Game has officially surpassed 111 million fans. Netflix made a tweet about it. Since its September 17th premiere, the series has amassed a total of 82 million accounts, easily exceeding the UK costume drama Bridgerton, which had 82 million accounts in its first 28 days. Ted Sarandos, Netflix's co-CEO and chief content officer, said at a tech conference in California last month that the popularity of Squid Game had astonished him. The show was so successful that SK Broadband, a South Korean internet service provider, sued Netflix to recover costs incurred as a result of increased network traffic and maintenance work as a result of the surge in viewers. A South Korean woman was in talks with the US corporation about compensation after her phone number was unintentionally emphasized as a significant narrative point in the series, resulting in thousands of prank calls and text messages. Netflix announced they'll invest more than $500 million in South Korea programming this year. Questions we need answered in season 2. Netflix is rumored to be very interested in renewing the Korean drama, which isn't surprising given that the show about a deadly futuristic kids game competition soared to #1 in over 80 countries despite the language barrier. However, there are plenty of questions we need answered in the sequel to the insanely popular show if they decide to renew it. Here are a few burning questions we need answered. Is there only one recruiter for the game? It's strange that a year after winning the Squid Game, Ji-hun saw the same recruiter playing jockey in the subway. Is it really reasonable to believe that only one man recruits hundreds of players every year? Is the skill must be really good at flipping paper squares in railway stations listed on the employment post if there are more than one? Just a thought. What happened to the stuff sent to police from Jung-jae? Jung-jae walked up the mountain to try get reception before being shot by his brother, and it worked for a brief while. Jung-jae was able to make one phone call despite the fact that not all of his photo and video files were successfully delivered to his supervisor. So even if his employer was perplexed by his rambling on the phone, at least someone was aware that Jung-jae was in danger. And obviously the cops would be on high alert in search of one of their own, right? Before the phone died, Jung-jae managed to offer the general direction of southwest of the mainland to aid Coast Guards locating him, so I'm sure there was plenty of parties looking for him after which. What happened to those who didn't return to the game after the vote? After seeing what the Squid Game was like in the 2020 games, 14 people decided not to return. What's keeping these folks from going to the police like Gi-hun did if the enticement of $45.6 billion, that's around 53 million US, wasn't enough to tempt them to risk their lives? We understand that hearing one individual rant about an underground lethal gaming ring may sound insane, insane, but if all 14 ex-players reported the games, and that doesn't include anyone who might have quit in earlier years, the authorities would undoubtedly begin an investigation. What's keeping these ex-players from bringing down the Squid Game? It's not likely they were paid to be silent. Things that didn't make sense in Squid Game. Squid Game is hands down a must-see. However, it's full of tropes and components that don't match together. Just like a lot of other horror game show films and shows, Swiss cheese would be the best dairy product to symbolize the plot, story, and logic of the series. There are lots of holes in it, but it's still a delicacy, so all is forgiven. How has no one discovered the game yet? This concept of the plot may be debatable, yet it still deserves to be mentioned. Jung-jae discovers that the game has been going on for years throughout his research. What makes this possible? Why hasn't anyone asked why a large number of people go missing every year and their bodies are never found? Has no one spotted the trucks taking up individuals on the street, or the weird ferry with armed people dressed up in pink suits? There are a few counter-arguments to these questions. South Korea has an alarmingly high suicide rate, and because many of the players are in debt, their families may feel they simply committed suicide. Even yet, it's doubtful that so many families would fail to look into the disappearance or death of a missing family member. Jung-jae appears to be an outlier, and there may be others like him, but the show makes it appear as if no other attempts to reveal the game have been undertaken. Player 456 had an unfair advantage. When it came to being unfair, number 456, the series protagonist, seemed to rely on chance the majority of the time. It's a common hazard in series and movies like this, where the protagonist is expected to survive despite the fact that the majority of the characters are doomed to die. That is, until the fourth game, when he was joined by number 001 in the marble match. The old man pretended to have dementia, allowing player number 456 to scam his way to victory. During the final stages of the game, the old man also gave 456 his last stone, therefore allowing him to win. Number 456 is clearly his favorite because he was kind to him and he wanted to repay the favor, but this is against the game show's established rules. How did a game winner become the host? The host was another difficult concept to grasp, or one that wasn't explained clearly. The show revealed that he is the brother of Officer Hwang Jun-ho, which is far too handy. The reason for this is that the host was once a competitor on the game show. That is a security problem in and of itself. In fact, he paused before shooting his own brother, and he most likely didn't kill him out of emotion, and presumably so that there would be enough material for a second season. In any event, such storyline convenience is tough to stomach, especially that the game's facilitators continue to monitor the winners after they won. And there you have it. Everything you know about how Squid Game and how it just made every other show on Netflix seem average at best. It's truly insane how much this Korean thriller show blew up, especially considering it's foreign to many of the viewers. Additionally, we also touched on some of the burning questions we all need answered in the potential sequel, along with a few things from season 1 that didn't quite make sense. Make sure to let us know your thoughts down below. Have you binged Squid Game yet? Do you think they'll make a sequel? Did we miss any burning questions you wanted answered? Let us know. But if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss any of our new and upcoming content.